Trump just doomed the Republican Party. Donald Trump just betrayed every promise he ever made and the Republicans' trust. He bombed Iran, and Republicans all swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. He told us he'd end the forever wars. He promised no new wars. But last weekend, he unleashed a major military strike, and congratulations, the Republicans fell for it again. In a sudden and sweeping move, Trump authorized coordinated airstrikes on key Iranian nuclear facilities, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. These sites, long viewed as central to Iran's nuclear ambitions, were hit in what marks the first major foreign military decision of Trump's second term. The strikes, confirmed by sources including CBS News, Reuters, and The New Yorker, represent a dramatic escalation in U.S.-Iran tensions and signal a return to an aggressive interventionism that many Americans believed was behind us. After the long and unpopular war in Gaza, this is the last thing Americans want right now. While the taste of Iraq and Afghanistan aren't fresh in our minds, this strike is only the start of a war that will have uncanny resemblances to the disastrous wars that resulted in Trump becoming president in the first place. This time, the propaganda about Iran is flimsier than a wet paper towel. We've all heard it before. Iran is months away from a nuclear weapon. They've been saying the exact same line for over 2 decades. Not just intelligence officials or think tanks, world leaders.
That would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less.
And he's actually been repeating the same version of that line since 1995.
The deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years.
The exact same doomsday language, year after year. It's like deja vu from the run-up of the Iraq War.
I take the fact that he develops weapons of mass destruction very seriously.
And here we are again, the same script, the same scare tactics, only this time almost no one believes it. Americans have grown more skeptical. We've seen how these stories end. Years of war, trillions of dollars, and no clear victory. So when the same rotting, warmongering playbook is dusted off and pointed at Iran, it's not convincing, it's insulting. Trump actually thinks we'll fall for the same lie that we already rejected 20 years ago, but not this time. Americans remember Iraq. We remember the cost, lives lost, billions wasted, promises broken, and now he expects us to believe that Iran is the next existential threat, that we should just roll over and let history repeat itself. Who is this war really for? Because it's not the American people. It's not the families who sent loved ones overseas. It's not for the veterans who are still fighting battles. Ask yourself, who do you actually know who wants war with Iran? Can you name a single person in your life who's asking for this? You can't. Because nobody. This isn't national security. It's about ego, distraction, and political survival. And the truth is, most Americans are done. We're done playing world police, and we're done being lied to. We all want to get out of the Middle East and stay out. Just like post-Iraq, this could leave the GOP fractured. With the Republicans wrestling between global muscle and American first isolationism. While Republican voters currently support the strikes in Iran, with 76% in favor and just 18% opposed, the broader picture tells us a different story. Across party lines, the American public is far more cautious. 85% oppose a full-scale war with Iran, and majorities across the board fear a prolonged escalation in the Middle East. And it's already taking a toll. Just days after the strikes began, Trump's approval rating has dropped to the lowest point of his current term. The message from voters is clear. This isn't what they signed up for. Americans were promised no new wars. They didn't expect to wake up to missile strikes and threats of retaliation. Even conservative influencers are starting to turn on Trump. In a tense exchange that went viral, Tucker Carlson publicly humiliated Ted Cruz, pressing him on his support for military action and accusing him of betraying the America First values that he once championed.
People live in Iran, by the way. I don't know the population at all. No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? So we may not be that far apart, really, because you said that the single criterion for making decisions about America's foreign policy is America's national interest.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Which is also America first. That's another way of putting that.
Carlson's audience, millions of right-leaning, anti-interventionist voters, are watching closely, and they are not buying the recycled rhetoric about national security threats. Trump bet the farm on national security hawkishness, and now even his own party is cracking at the seams. And now we're hearing the word ceasefire, but don't let that fool you. This isn't peace, it's a pause, and a shaky one. Already, there have been multiple violations from both sides. Air defense is already lighting up the sky, and retaliatory strikes have not stopped. This isn't the end, it's just the next phase. Call it what you want, a ceasefire, a cooling off period, but history shows us how these things go. They don't de-escalate after strikes on each other, especially with such a preposterous announcements where both sides immediately accuse each other of ignoring the ceasefire. This will not last. Like the fallout after the Iraq War, this moment threatens to leave the Republican Party fractured, torn between its neoconservative past and its populist isolationist present. If history is any guide, Trump's gamble could backfire, just as Bush's did 2 decades ago. George Bush launched the war on terror in 2001. 2 decades later, the numbers are devastating. Over $8 trillion spent, hundreds of thousands of civilians dead, and no weapons of mass destruction found? No victory, just loss. The public backlash was massive. The Iraq War didn't just ruin Iraq, it wrecked the Republican Party. By 2008, Americans were done. Barack Obama swept into office in a wave of anti-war sentiment. A landslide victory, 365 electoral votes. Republicans did not stand a chance. And then came Donald Trump. In 2015 and 2016, he was the loudest critic of Republican war failures.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take...
He called Iraq and Afghanistan a disaster, he slammed Bush, and as a result, he won.
We will help bring stability to the world. I was the first president in modern times to start no new wars. You know, we were the toughest, we were the most respected.
But now, 8 years later, he's doing exactly what he first criticized. Just like Bush, launching military strikes in the Middle East with no endgame, no strategy, and no clear support. The American people aren't buying this. 85% oppose a war with Iran. Even his own base is cracking. Trump rose to power by swearing off these wars. But now, he's become the very thing he warned us about. Just like Bush, this could fracture the Republican Party again. History isn't just rhyming, it's repeating. Hey y'all, if y'all want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and even comment. Tell me what you think. Do you think this will actually end the Republican Party? Or do you think Trump will find some new way to spin this in a positive direction for them?